A quiet moment, almost invisible to the public eye, has finally come to light. Behind the flashing cameras and the glamour of the Academy Awards, there was a deeply personal story unfolding, one that may have shaped the biggest award season success of Timothée Chalamet. And the most unexpected part? The name Kylie Jenner is now at the center of it all. Before we dive deeper, make sure you hit subscribe, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far more powerful than it first appears. In Hollywood, success is never just about talent. It's about endurance, timing, and the people who stand beside you when the spotlight fades. This award season, Timothée Chalamet didn't just show up, he dominated. From major nominations to unforgettable red carpet moments, his presence was impossible to ignore. Critics praised him. Fans celebrated him. But behind all that success, a question quietly grew louder: who was supporting him when the cameras weren't rolling? And that's where Kylie Jenner enters the story, slowly, subtly, but undeniably. For months, their relationship was surrounded by speculation. Some called it a publicity stunt. Others dismissed it as another short-lived celebrity romance. But everything changed after one revealing moment that took place shortly after Hollywood's biggest night. In an interview that quickly went viral, Timothée Chalamet did something no one expected: he publicly thanked Kylie. And it wasn't just a casual mention. The tone shifted, slower, more intimate. He spoke about pressure, about exhaustion, about the emotional weight of an award season that pushes even the strongest performers to their limits. And then he said it: there was one person who kept him grounded through it all. One person who stayed constant when everything else felt overwhelming. That person was Kylie. Zoom in, his expression, sincere, unfiltered. She was always there, he said. For simple words. But behind them, an entire untold story. What audiences didn't see were the long nights, the mental strain, the endless expectations. The constant need to perform, not just on screen, but in real life. In a world where every move is analyzed, having someone who offers genuine support can change everything. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Halfway through the award season, rumors began to surface that their relationship was on the rocks. Headlines hinted at distance. Social media speculated about a possible split. And for a moment, it seemed like the narrative was shifting again. Quick-cut, fast-paced visuals, flashing headlines. But behind the scenes, something very different was happening. The two were quietly seen together at private events. No big announcements. No staged appearances. Just small, almost hidden moments that didn't fit the public narrative. At the time, many dismissed it as coincidence, or even strategy. Now, with Timothée Chalamet's emotional acknowledgement, those moments take on a completely new meaning. Cut to the night of the Academy Awards. The atmosphere was electric. All eyes were on Timothée. But for those paying close attention, there was a subtle detail that stood out. During one of the most important moments of the night, he glanced into the crowd, not randomly, but with intention. And there she was. Kylie Jenner, seated elegantly, watching him. That glance wasn't just a look. It was a connection. The tempo builds again, music rising. Award season is often portrayed as glamorous, but the reality is far more intense. It tests resilience. It exposes vulnerability. And many artists lose themselves in the process. But this time, something was different. This time, there was balance. And then came the defining moment, the payoff. When Timothée Chalamet finally stood on stage, receiving recognition for his work, the room was filled with applause. It was the culmination of months of dedication, discipline, and emotional investment. But what happened next is what truly captured attention. Instead of following the usual script, thanking directors, producers, and colleagues, he paused. And then he mentioned Kylie. Directly. Clearly. Without hesitation. The room reacted instantly. Some were surprised. Others visibly moved. Because in that moment, it wasn't about celebrity headlines anymore. It was real. Zoom out, music softens. For so long, their relationship had been judged from the outside. Reduced to speculation. Questioned at every turn. But this single moment reframed everything. It revealed something deeper: support, loyalty, and a connection that existed beyond the public eye. And now, looking back at his incredible awards season run, it's impossible to ignore one truth. The success of Timothée Chalamet wasn't just built on talent alone, it was strengthened by the presence of someone who stood beside him when it mattered most. So what happens next? Is this the beginning of a new chapter for them? Or the peak of a story that has been quietly unfolding all along? One thing is certain, this story is far from over. If you want to stay updated on the latest celebrity news, Hollywood drama, and exclusive stories like this, make sure you subscribe, hit like, and share this video. Because behind every headline, there's always a deeper story waiting to be discovered. And just when it seemed like the story had reached its emotional peak, a new layer began to unfold, one that made everything even more compelling. Because behind the scenes, industry insiders started to notice something different about Timothée Chalamet this season. It wasn't just his performances that stood out, it was his energy, his focus, and the way he carried himself through an intense cycle of premieres, interviews, and award ceremonies. There was a calmness that hadn't always been there before. A shift. And in Hollywood, even the smallest shift never goes unnoticed. Producers, directors, and close collaborators began quietly mentioning how grounded he seemed. How, despite the overwhelming pressure of awards campaigns, he maintained a level of composure that is rare at that level. The kind of composure that doesn't just come from experience, but from stability. And once again, the conversation circled back to one name. Kylie Jenner. Cut to a slower pace, soft piano, reflective tone. Those closest to the situation describe a dynamic that isn't built on spectacle, but on presence. Not constant public appearances, not headline-grabbing moments, but consistency behind closed doors. The kind of support that doesn't need validation from cameras. And that's what makes this story different. Because in a world where celebrity relationships often play out like performances, this one didn't. But here's where things take another unexpected turn. As Timothée Chalamet's success grew, so did the scrutiny. Every speech, every glance, every interaction was analyzed frame by frame. Social media exploded with theories. Fans debated the authenticity of his words. Critics questioned whether the mention of Kylie was spontaneous or carefully calculated. Fast cut, comments scrolling, headlines flashing. Was it real? Or was it strategy? The question spread quickly, fueling even more attention around both of them. But then, something subtle happened. Instead of leaning into the attention, neither Timothee nor Kylie amplified the narrative. No dramatic follow-ups. No coordinated posts. No attempt to control the story. They simply stayed quiet. And sometimes, silence says more than any statement ever could. Zoom in, pause. Because in an industry built on visibility, choosing not to respond is, in itself, a statement. And that silence only deepened the mystery. Meanwhile, the impact of that one moment on stage continued to ripple across Hollywood. Media outlets began reframing their coverage. What was once dismissed as a casual relationship started being discussed as a meaningful partnership. Analysts even began connecting the dots, linking his emotional stability to his strongest performances yet. And whether intentional or not, Timothée Chalamet had shifted the narrative completely. But just as the story seemed to settle, another detail surfaced. during a private after-party following the Academy Awards, witnesses described a moment that never made it to mainstream headlines. Away from the main crowd, away from the cameras, Timothee was seen sharing a quiet conversation with Kylie Jenner. No performance. No audience. Just two people, fully present. And according to those who were there, the energy in that moment said everything. It wasn't about celebration. It wasn't about status. It was something much more personal: relief, gratitude, and connection after months of pressure finally coming to an end. Slow fade, music softens again. Moments like that don't trend. They don't go viral. But they matter. Because they reveal the human side of a story that's often reduced to headlines. And for many fans, that's what made this entire situation resonate on a deeper level. It wasn't just about awards. It was about what it takes to survive the journey to get there. But here comes the biggest question of all. What happens when the spotlight fades? Because award season eventually ends. The cameras move on. The headlines shift. And what remains is reality, without the glamour, without the constant validation. Can a connection that formed under that level of intensity survive in the quiet? Or does it change? Cut, tempo rises again, tension builds. There are already whispers about upcoming projects for Timothée Chalamet. Bigger roles. Higher expectations. Even more pressure. And with that, inevitably, more scrutiny on his personal life. At the same time, Kylie Jenner continues to navigate her own empire, business ventures, public image, and a level of influence that operates on a completely different scale. Two worlds. Two different kinds of fame. And yet, somehow, their paths keep intersecting. Which brings us back to where this all began. That one moment. That one thank you. Because sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the biggest meaning. Zoom in, final emotional beat. In an industry where recognition is everything, choosing to share that recognition with someone else, especially in front of the world, says more than any headline ever could. It wasn't just gratitude. It was acknowledgement. And whether you believe in celebrity relationships or not, it's hard to ignore the impact that moment has had, not just on their story, but on how people perceive success itself. Because maybe, just maybe, success isn't only about what you achieve, but who stands beside you when you achieve it. Fade out, then one last shift, direct to audience. So now we turn it over to you. Do you think Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner are the real deal? Or is this just another chapter in Hollywood's endless cycle of stories? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the next twist in this story might be closer than anyone expects. And just when audiences thought they had seen the full picture, another unexpected perspective began to emerge, one that didn't come from headlines, interviews, or red carpets, but from those quietly observing everything from the inside. Because in Hollywood, the real story rarely lives in front of the camera. It lives in the pauses between appearances, in the way someone walks into a room, in the subtle shifts that only a few people notice. And this time, all signs kept pointing back to Timothée Chalamet. There was something undeniably different about him, not just during the Academy Awards, but throughout the entire awards circuit. From Golden Globe Awards to smaller, more intimate industry gatherings, he carried a presence that felt centered. Not distracted. Not overwhelmed. Centered. And in an environment that thrives on chaos, that kind of presence stands out more than any speech or performance ever could. But what made it even more intriguing was how consistent it was. Because consistency, in Hollywood, is rare. Quick cut, flashback-style pacing. Think about it. Rising stars often burn bright and fast. They ride the wave of recognition, only to find themselves struggling to keep up with the expectations that follow. But this time, Timothée Chalamet seemed to move differently. More intentional. More grounded. Almost as if he knew something the rest of the world didn't. And once again, the conversation circled back to the same question. Who, or what, was behind that change? Pause. Because this is where the story takes a deeper turn. Sources close to this situation describe a dynamic that goes beyond what the public typically associates with celebrity relationships. They talk about balance. About emotional support. About someone who provides a sense of normalcy in a world that is anything but normal. And yes, that brings us back to Kylie Jenner. But not in the way people might expect. Because the narrative isn't about public appearances or social media posts. It's about presence during the moments that don't get documented. Late-night conversations after exhausting press tours. Quiet check-ins before stepping onto another stage. The kind of moments that never trend, but shape everything that comes after. And suddenly, that one thank you doesn't feel so small anymore. It feels inevitable. Zoom in, tone intensifies. But here's where the tension builds again. Because with every positive shift in narrative, there's always an opposing force. Skepticism. Critics began to question whether this story was being romanticized. Whether fans were projecting meaning onto moments that were never meant to carry that weight. Whether, in the end, this was just another example of Hollywood turning personal lives into public mythology. And to be fair, it's a valid question. Because Hollywood has done it before. Over and over again. Fast-paced cuts, past celebrity headlines, blurred names, rising tension. But something about this situation doesn't quite fit that pattern. Because instead of escalating the story, both Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner have done the opposite. They've de-escalated. No dramatic reveals. No overexposure. No attempt to dominate the narrative. Just selective visibility. And in a world where attention is currency, choosing restraint becomes the most powerful move of all. Slow it down, let the moment breathe. Because restraint creates curiosity. And curiosity keeps the story alive. Now here's something even more interesting. Following the awards season, multiple reports began hinting at a shift in how Timothée Chalamet is approaching his career moving forward. Not just chasing roles for prestige, but choosing projects that align with something deeper. Something more personal. And that kind of shift doesn't happen in isolation. It comes from reflection. From clarity. From knowing who you are when the noise fades. So the question becomes, did this connection help him find that clarity? Or did he find it on his own, and simply have someone there to support him through it? Either way, the outcome is the same. Growth. And growth, especially at that level, is impossible to fake. Cut, build toward another emotional peak. Because at the end of the day, awards season is just a chapter. A very loud, very visible chapter. But what defines a career isn't just the wins. It's what comes after. The choices. The direction. The ability to evolve. And right now, all signs suggest that Timothée Chalamet is entering a new phase, one that could redefine everything we thought we knew about him. And whether people want to admit it or not, Kylie Jenner is now part of that story. Not as a headline. Not as a distraction. But as a presence. And that distinction matters. Because headlines fade. But presence stays. Final build, music rising one last time. So now, as the lights dim on one of the most talked about award seasons in recent memory, we're left with something more than just winners and speeches. We're left with a question. A real one. What actually defines success? Is it the awards? The recognition? The global attention? Or is it the ability to go through all of that, and still remain grounded? Still remain connected? Still have someone in your corner when the world is watching, and when it's not? Because if this story has shown us anything, it's that sometimes, the most powerful moments aren't the ones that make the loudest noise. They're the ones that almost go unnoticed. And yet, change everything. Fade out, one last direct connection. Now it's your turn. Do you think this is a genuine connection that will continue to shape Timothée Chalamet's journey? Or is this simply a moment, one that will eventually fade like so many others before it? Drop your thoughts below. And if you're still here, you already know what to do: like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because in Hollywood, the next chapter is always closer than it seems. And just when it feels like every angle of this story has been explored, something even deeper begins to surface, something that shifts the focus away from headlines and into something far more human. Because what we're really witnessing here isn't just another award season success story. It's a transformation. And transformations don't happen overnight. They build quietly, moment by moment, decision by decision. For Timothée Chalamet, this past year has been more than a professional milestone, it's been a test. A test of endurance, identity, and purpose in an industry that constantly demands more. More visibility. More perfection. More results. And yet, somewhere in the middle of all that noise, he found stillness. Pause. Because stillness is rare in Hollywood. It's easy to get caught up in momentum, to chase the next role, the next award, the next headline. But stepping back, even for a moment, requires something different. Clarity. And that's where this story takes on a new level of meaning. Because when Timothée Chalamet publicly acknowledged Kylie Jenner, it wasn't just about gratitude. It was a reflection of that clarity. A recognition of what truly mattered after everything else had been stripped away. Zoom in, slow, intentional. Think about the weight of that moment. Standing on one of the biggest stages in the world, after months of relentless pressure, knowing that every word will be dissected, analyzed, and remembered, and choosing to say something real. Not strategic. Not expected. Real. And that choice changes everything. Because authenticity, especially in that environment, is powerful. But here's where the story becomes even more layered. As audiences replayed that moment again and again, a different kind of conversation started to emerge. Not about the relationship itself, but about what it represents. Support. Stability. Emotional grounding. Three things that are often overlooked in conversations about success. Fast shift, slightly higher tempo. In fact, industry psychologists and commentators began discussing how high-performing individuals often rely on strong personal anchors to navigate extreme pressure. Not for publicity. Not for image. But for survival. And suddenly, this wasn't just a celebrity story anymore. It became a case study. A real-time example of what it takes to sustain excellence without losing yourself in the process. And that's where the narrative deepens again. Because if you look closely, there's a pattern here. Every time Timothée Chalamet reached a high point this season, there was a corresponding moment of grounding. A quiet reset. A return to something real. And whether visible or not, Kylie Jenner appears to have been part of that pattern. Not as a headline, but as a constant. Cut, brief silence. Because constants are what keep everything else from falling apart. And in a world where nothing stays the same for long, having one can make all the difference. But let's not ignore the other side of this. Because every story that rises this quickly also faces a critical moment. The moment where reality tests the narrative. The moment where everything that looked strong is put under pressure. And that moment may be coming sooner than expected. Build tension, music intensifies again. With new projects already being discussed and expectations continuing to rise, Timothée Chalamet is about to enter another demanding phase of his career. bigger roles, larger audiences, even greater scrutiny. And with that comes a new level of challenge. Because sustaining success is always harder than achieving it. And sustaining balance? Even harder. So the question becomes, can this sense of grounding continue when the pressure doubles? Or will the weight of expectation begin to shift everything once again? Zoom in, hold. Because this is the part of the story no one can predict. Not the media. Not the fans. Not even those closest to them. It's the part that unfolds in real time. And that's what makes it so compelling. Because we're not just watching a completed story. We're watching something that's still in motion. Something that's still evolving. And that brings us to one final realization. Everything we've seen so far, the awards, the speeches, the acknowledgement, the quiet moments, it's all part of a larger narrative that hasn't reached its conclusion yet. Not even close. Fade slightly, tone becomes reflective again. Because in the end, success stories aren't defined by a single season. They're defined by what happens next. By the ability to carry forward everything that was learned, without losing the essence of what made it possible in the first place. And right now, Timothée Chalamet stands at that exact point. Right between what was achieved, and what comes next. With Kylie Jenner now undeniably part of that equation. Whether quietly or openly. Whether consistently or momentarily. She's part of the story. And that story is still being written. Final beat, slow, deliberate. So as the lights dim on this chapter, one thing becomes clear. This was never just about awards. It was never just about recognition. It was about what it takes to reach that level, and more importantly, what it takes to stay there. And sometimes, the answer isn't found in the spotlight, but in the presence of someone who stands just outside of it. Now, as always, we want to hear from you. Do you believe this connection will continue to play a role in shaping Timothée Chalamet's future? Or do you think the pressures of Hollywood will eventually pull them in different directions? Share your thoughts below. And if you've stayed with us until this moment, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next twist in this story might not come with a warning. And just when it seems like the emotional weight of this story has settled, a new perspective quietly begins to take shape, one that shifts everything once again. Because beyond the red carpets, beyond the applause, and beyond the carefully crafted narratives, there's a reality that very few people ever get to witness. The aftermath. What happens after the biggest nights are over, when the lights dim, the crowds disappear, and the noise slowly fades into silence. For Timothée Chalamet, that moment of silence may have been the most defining part of his entire awards season journey. Pause, slow, reflective tone. Because in that silence, there are no scripts. No expectations. No cameras dictating how you should feel. Just reality. And reality has a way of revealing what truly matters. Sources close to the situation suggest that after the whirlwind of the Academy Awards, Timothée didn't immediately dive back into the spotlight. Instead, there was a noticeable shift, a step back, a moment of recalibration. And that decision alone speaks volumes. Because stepping back at the height of success is not common. It's intentional. It's controlled. And most importantly, it's personal. But here's where the story deepens even further. During that period of quiet, there were no grand public appearances, no headline-grabbing moments. Instead, what surfaced were subtle indications, small glimpses into a life that looked far more grounded than many expected. Moments away from the industry. Moments away from the pressure. And once again, those moments seemed to include Kylie Jenner. Not in a way that demanded attention, but in a way that suggested presence. Consistency. Realness. Zoom in, soft tension builds. Because consistency, especially after a peak moment, is what truly defines a connection. Anyone can show up during the highs. But staying present during the quiet, that's different. That's rare. And that's what has people paying attention now more than ever. But just as this narrative begins to solidify, another layer of complexity enters the picture. Because with distance from the spotlight comes something else. Perspective. And perspective can change everything. Cut, slightly faster pace. There are already whispers circulating within the industry about the next phase of Timothée Chalamet's career. Not just in terms of roles, but in terms of direction. The kinds of stories he wants to tell. The kinds of collaborations he wants to pursue. And more importantly, the kind of life he wants to build alongside that career. Because at a certain point, success stops being about accumulation and starts being about alignment. Alignment between personal life and professional ambition. Alignment between public image and private reality. And achieving that balance? That might be the most difficult challenge of all. Which brings us back, once again, to Kylie Jenner. Because her presence in this story isn't just about emotional support anymore. It's about influence. Not in the traditional sense of shaping public perception, but in the quieter sense of shaping decisions. Daily choices. Priorities. Direction. And that kind of influence doesn't happen overnight. It builds. Slowly. Naturally. Until one day, it becomes part of the foundation. Pause, let that settle. Because if that's the case, then what we're witnessing isn't just a moment. It's a shift. A real one. But every shift comes with a test. And this is where the tension rises again. Because as Timothée Chalamet prepares to re-enter the spotlight, whether through new film projects, global press tours, or future award campaigns, the environment will change once again. The pressure will return. The scrutiny will intensify. And the question becomes unavoidable. Can what was built in the quiet survive in the noise? Zoom in, hold. Because the noise of Hollywood has a way of distorting everything. It amplifies doubts. It creates narratives. It tests even the strongest foundations. And history has shown that not every connection can withstand that level of intensity. But at the same time, not every connection is built the same way. And that's what makes this story so unpredictable. Because it